Okay, hello guys, how you doing? Live once again today with Mr. Kubeir Kamal. You know him, since he's got his YouTube channel, he's got his huge Facebook group as well. Please let me know if you can see me, if you can hear me properly, if my audio is clear. Just want to make sure. Guys, please let me know if my audio is clear or not. I can see your comments coming in, but I can only, answer those questions once you confirm that it's clear. Okay, so Dhana said that the voice is clear. So thank you so much for that. Let me request Mr. Kubeir Kamal to join this stream. Okay, so here it is.
Hello, hi, Sheetanshu, hi everybody. Nice to be here. How's it going?
Going good for me. You tell me, how is it going for you?
Well, I mean, you're looking all sharp, so I'm sure it's all going pretty good.
Yes, pretty cold out there, so it's good to sit inside.
Yes, I mean, what's the temperature your side? I think mine was showing at -14 last night. So yeah,
probably yeah. This morning it was like -10 or something. So,
but yeah, see, so this is what it is, right? So all the people who do those videos don't come to Canada. So it was one of those things, right? It's been snowing. It has been extremely slippery. You have to be shoveling your backyards and front yards, and it's been extremely cold. So yeah, one of those days when you think, "Arey yaar, Canada kyun aaye, boss? Aaram se ghar baithe."
Definitely one of those weeks. Actually, this week has been a bit harsh.
Polar vortex around the corner. So yeah.
Yes, and especially like Cambridge side, it's a little more colder. So like probably 1 or 2 or 3 degrees even less. So okay, somebody noticed that both of your logos are different. So yes, we can say that our logos have switched in here in this video.
Yeah,
we tried actually fixing that, but I think it's taking a lot of time. So we thought.
This is so for today. Sheetanshu is representing Ask Kubeir, and I'm representing Dream Abroad, and that's what we call a collaboration, right?
Yes, perfect. Okay, so sir, let's start with the questions right away because I can already see a couple of questions coming in.
Yeah, go ahead.
So let's start with the travel restrictions. People asking about the travel restrictions. I'm not sure if Ranida, if you are there in Canada or if you are there, like if you want to travel into Canada. Everyone who is there in Canada, Justin Trudeau is saying almost daily that people should not travel even within Canada. So I was actually planning a trip to India, but thinking of all of the situation and whatever has been going on, I've canceled that trip. So I don't know if you're actually thinking of planning to move out of Canada and then coming back, because that becomes a lot trickier because of the new rules that are coming in. So what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, Justin Trudeau even said to cancel all plans going out, coming in, and you might just get stuck. But having said that, on our Facebook group, there have been a lot of people who have managed to travel regardless of the travel restrictions. So, for example, if your COPR was issued after the 18th of March, and we know that you are not expected to travel if your COPRs or PR visas have been issued after the 18th of March, but then there are several cases of people, including my son, who did travel after their visas were issued after the 18th of March. I'm not promoting or advocating that you should, because it is the travel restriction which has been put in place by the Canadian government, and for good reasons. But for people who still are looking to do that, usually in most cases, at least actually not even usually, not mostly, once you arrive in Canada, you will not face any issue. I have not heard of any person being told, why are you here in Canada if your visa is issued after the 18th of March. The problem usually happens from the departure airport. So the airline staff, the departure immigration, they may sort of put the restrictions in place, because the airlines are usually responsible to put any kind of travel restrictions and put them in place. If you travel Air Canada, and keep this off the record, right, Sheetanshu, we cannot promote this, right? If you're traveling Air Canada, especially from India, they are known to not be particular and check whether the visa is issued after the 18th of March or not. There are several cases where people have traveled. Air India, on the other hand, is extremely strict. They will just not allow. On the contrary, even for people who are eligible to travel, even if you have an authority letter, authorization to travel letter, even those people, they create a lot of issues. But Air Canada has been quite flexible. I have no affiliations with Air Canada. I am not promoting them, but I'm just letting you know that yes, there are plenty of cases for such people who have traveled.
Okay, so yes, that's it, and there are a couple of other points to note as well. I might maybe let's just list them out quickly. So if you have to arrive, you should have a quarantine plan that you should feed into the ArriveCan app. That is a must thing that you should do before boarding the flight. Yeah. And then obviously you should have a quarantine plan. You should not, you should have that time. You should go directly from the airport to the place where you want to quarantine and all.
Yeah.
So all these things are there.
And you have to take the COVID test before 3 days before you are boarding your flight. That is a mandatory requirement that everybody would check. And I think they have also now started providing the COVID tests on the arrival airports. I think Toronto has started doing it.
That's voluntary actually. So anybody who wants to get the test done, that's free of cost, I think, for everyone. Yeah. So yes, that's a very good thing. Like if you're landing here in Toronto, it's a very good thing for you also, because you get to know that, okay, yes, I'm totally safe. Even you're negative, you go in quarantine. So something related question. Hotel quarantine is mandatory for those who are coming from outside? Certainly not.
No. There is no such requirement as of now. Yes, there is. Again, the government is considering of making institutional quarantine as a requirement and probably being mandatory. If that happens, that is not going to be good news, because you will be under almost like more stricter quarantine. So the good idea is just follow the quarantine process and requirements, and everybody will be happy.
Right. Okay. So Alex wants to ask thoughts on next draw. I know these questions will come. So yes, my take on it first. I think next draw is also going to be a PNP plus CEC specific draw. Somehow they've never cleared it, but yes, somehow it is related with the lockdowns and the situation here in Canada. So it happened last time and it has happened this time as well. Since like when Quebec and Ontario went into lockdown, they've started this PNP and CC specific draws. So I don't know, Alex, if you're in Canada or like if you are from CEC, if you actually are, if you have Canadian work experience, then that's a very good news for you. But yes, if you're one of those candidates who are waiting in the express entry pool who do not have Canadian work experience or an PNP invitation, then I think you will have to wait a little longer. Sir, your thoughts?
Well, this is in line and in tune with Marco Mendicino's, the immigration minister's announcement. I think it happened last year, sometime late in the last year, that they were looking at ways and means of giving some advantage, some benefit to people who are already inside Canada, people who have studied, who have worked, who have basically been contributing to the Canadian economy in some way or the other. So in its entirety, I agree with the whole thing that CEC should be given preference to an extent. But we have to keep in mind, CEC already has preference in terms of Canadian work experience, has points. Canadian education has additional points. So that advantage is already there. By creating a further advantage of doing only program-specific draw, I can personally feel the pain and the anger also at times, and frustration that comes from people who have been slotting themselves under the Federal Skilled Worker Program. But again, it's not for me and for you, Sheetanshu, to sort of,
Exactly.
I mean, we can't do anything about it, right? So what do I think about the draw? I personally feel that IRCC would start alternating the draws, as also they did last year. What they would do primarily is one draw CEC and PNP, and then the next draw Federal Skilled Worker, and then the following draw CEC. That sort of balances out to a great extent, right? So you've given opportunities, or rather to people who are Federal Skilled Worker Program, you're giving equal opportunity to people who are in the Canadian Experience class. Obviously, Canadian Experience class draws would basically see a lower score because of the number of people who are in the profile, in the pool. Federal Skilled Worker Program profiles would always be more than the CEC profiles. So you can always see a drop in CEC scores faster than the Federal Skilled Worker. But that's personally my opinion. I don't think they care much about our opinions, but that would basically bring some sort of a balance. But if they do that, CEC draws would not drastically drop like they did into 430s last year. Then they would still hover in the 440s range if they were to alternate the draws. But if they were to do some repeated number of draws for CEC, then obviously we can definitely look at 430s, because this time they're even issuing more ITAs. I mean, 5,000 ITAs is like a wow.
Right.
That's what I think, yeah.
Related question, who can tell when Canadian government is going to restart the general draw? No one can tell that.
I can tell. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to tweet the link of this video to Marco Mendicino. I mean, that's the best we can do. I mean, you can do the same thing. So, we've already said it and we've already put it out there. And if we can listen to it and probably consider, at least, if not doing only all program draw, but at least alternating and giving both sides of
Oops, I think that
lost you. Yeah, go on.
I think we lost each other.
No, I'm back.
Okay, great.
Okay.
I think it's very clear. It's nobody can actually tell you that. Moving over to the next question. Is Ontario human capital draw on hold? I don't think so. There's no information like that, sir.
No, it is not on draw. As far as Ontario is concerned, what they are planning to do is they are planning to go with the expression of interest-based immigration program. That is already being considered, planned, worked around, and I think towards the middle of the year or towards probably the third quarter, fourth quarter of the year, we will probably hear of Ontario bringing that into place. I don't think it'll happen earlier. There's too much of work to be done. But until such time, no, we don't. There is no draw on hold. Ontario will continue to do their draws as and when they need to.
Yeah, guys, I would request you please ask some generic questions, just like I've been highlighting some generic questions there. I'm seeing a lot of profile specific questions. If you ask those questions, maybe the other person, maybe like probably more than 250 people are there in the live stream, they wouldn't benefit from that. So just a request, please ask more generic questions so that other people can also benefit from the answers. Okay, so something with the for the married people. Deep wants to ask, is it possible to get the score recalculated if you get married after AOR?
Is it possible to get the score? I mean, do you mean to say that you want to get the scores recalculated? Because as per the section A 11.2, the scores are not recalculated if you get married after AOR. So what we can do is we will quickly, I'm not sure if I can do it here, but if you let me do that, I will be able to share the screen. Oh, I can't. Okay. I can. Okay. Yeah. Sheetanshu, if you...
Sure.
Can you see my screen? I think
yes.
I can. Okay, so this is the section A 11.2 on the Express Entry CIC website. Section A 11.2 is from the Immigration Refugee Protection Act. If you were to go down in this and see changes in circumstances declared in EAPR and requirement to maintain MEC, which is minimum eligibility criteria, in this there is a section. I'll have to see where it basically goes. Yes, changes in circumstances declared after EAPR has been submitted. So, for example, if an applicant marries before they submit their EAPR, then your scores will be recalculated. Okay, then it has to be calculated as if that you were married before you submitted your application, and all the conditions will be applied as per you being married, right? But if an applicant marries after they submit their EAPR and then informs IRCC of the marriage cannot be taken into account as part of A 11.2 assessment, which basically means the factor that affect the marriage, which basically means that if you were applying as single, your scores are higher. As a married person, your scores are lower. So because you got married after submitting your electronic application for permanent residence, this factor that you have got married now will not be taken into account. So that will not be an issue. So the point I'm trying to make is that your scores will not be recalculated if you get married after AOR. Good enough?
Yes, I think that's a very good explanation. Thank you for that. Okay, so someone wants to ask, what's your opinion on January 2021, by when they can expect PPR requests? I don't want to talk about January 2021. I want to talk about January 2020, because I know there are a lot of people who are still waiting for the PPR, who were there in who submitted their profile, who got the AORs on January and February. So do you want to talk about that, sir? Let's first answer Abhinav's question. Probably it would be 6 months or so. It's taking a lot of time these days, but if you're lucky, you can get it earlier. But I think you should just forget about it for now.
Forget about it for now. Yeah, forget about it. Well, the timelines, the generic timelines, 2017, 2018 was roughly 5 months on an average. 2019, the timelines went up to 8 months, and this information comes from IRCC website, their open data, and it's an ongoing. So as and how they keep updating their data, this will come. 2020 data hasn't been posted yet, but I'm sure it's going to be ridiculously long and high. But we need to put this in perspective, right? What exactly happened in March last year? Everything went into a total lockdown. Everything froze. Basically, there was a total freeze on everything, and people didn't really know what was going to happen, what to expect. Over the few months after the March lockdown, as and how people started coming to terms with this whole COVID and pandemic issue, they started putting things in place. But as far as IRCC is concerned, now they are dealing with matters of national security. They are dealing with matters which are very, very highly confidential. There is a lot of privacy concerns in terms of your application and files. So it's not very easy for a visa officer to take work home and say, okay, I'll finish this file from home. I'm not coming to work. With the current COVID protocols, and they are extremely strict in Canada. So earlier, if in one office 50 people could work, now with the COVID protocols, only 20 people can work in that office, right? Because social distancing and COVID protocols have to be followed. With only 20 people working in the office, you can imagine 1/3 of your capacity has been reduced, and you cannot really work with the same level that you were earlier able to work with. Now, in addition to that, with this whole expiries of COPR, authorization letters, new policy changes which are happening, like almost every single day, there is a policy change, there is an update, with all of this happening, it has created severe backlog. Now, this was related to Canada, and then there was also things which were happening in different countries and different visa offices. So the point I'm trying to make is that it's not that IRCC wants to delay the processing. One, they have been severely affected because of the COVID protocols, right? They can't work from home. And even some aspects of their applications, which they are able to work from home and do it from home, the IRCC had to put several secured servers in place and had to create a secured environment before people could actually work from home in some of the applications or some part of the application. More than that, 18th March restriction of travel is still in place. So IRCC understands. So for example, and I'm answering this question not only for this January 2021 PPR request, but I'm sure I can also see some other questions about other people's whose COPRs have expired, or they haven't really received their PPR for a very long time. In a lot of cases, people have ordered GCMS notes. They already know that their applications have been approved. Everything has been approved. They're ready for visa. All eligibility checks have been done. Their applications haven't been finalized. And the reason for that is IRCC understands that if they are to give you a PPR now, you will send your passport for stamping. Once they will stamp the passport, it will have a validity as per your medicals. Even if they extend the medicals, the date of extension would probably be the next few weeks or few months. You can't travel because your visa will be issued after the 18th of March, which basically means your visa will expire, your COPR will expire, and then you're going to write back to IRCC and say, okay, please extend, which they cannot extend because the 18th of March provisions are still in place. But it also means there is additional work for them. I mean, now they have to also check your securities again. They have to check your medical again. They have to cancel your old COPR. They have to issue a new COPR. They have to issue a new counterfoils. It's added work. So what they're trying to do is hold back on everything, because even if they issue right now, you can't do anything. Similarly, for people who already have expired COPRs, there was already a mandate, or rather update which came from IRCC, which said after 23rd of December, anybody who's sending them web forms asking them to extend their COPRs, they will not be entertaining those web forms. And the reason for that is that even if they were to accept their web form and start updating them, you will not be allowed to travel at this point of time unless your visas were issued on 18th of March. And they are, as I said, facing severe backlog. They have to check your medicals. They have to check your criminality checks. In normal circumstances, your PCCs, your police clearances, your criminality checks that have been done are valid at the time you submit your application, and for the period of time the criminality checks are done. But generically speaking, they're valid for 1 year. Now, you've submitted the application, 1 year has passed, your criminality checks were done 1 year back. Now, in this last 1 year, what you have done, nobody knows, right? And Canada has a right to protect its borders. They have a right to their national security. So they want to be doing these criminality checks. They want to be doing these security checks to understand everybody is safe, or the national security is taken into account. Therefore, with all these several factors that are plaguing the whole issue, there are bound to be delays. And that's, once you understand that, it becomes easier for you to come to terms with the fact that why this is being delayed.
Yes, that was a long answer. So thank you so much for explaining it in so much detail. I really hope that the audience would actually benefit. They would actually understand the situation, the current situation. There's a lot of frustration at times when you have to wait, but there's nothing we can do about it at this time. Okay, so very generic question again. Piyush wants to ask, is there any chance of cutoff score dropping to 460 for express entry? So looking at the trends, I personally feel it's very difficult that it would come down to 460, because again, now it has dropped down to 468, and we were hoping that if there could be regular FSW, like all program draws, then it would drop down like maybe 1 or 2 points in every other draw. But now, because they've started these alternate draws of CEC and PNP, once again, whenever the next all program draw happens, I think it would go up. The cutoff score will actually go up. So what that will actually do, whenever it starts dropping, yes, it will drop for sure, but again, it would come down to around 470, 468. I don't really feel, I'm really sorry about that, but I don't really feel that 460 would be a right thing to say. But yes, 460, something around 465 is possible. So what are your thoughts?
Am I sharing the screen? Yes, I'm sharing the screen. Okay, so this is the pool breakdown on the 18th of January. All right, very, very quickly we will go through the CEC draws have been happening, which basically means a lot of these profiles are already gone with the CEC draw. The 461 to 470 range has 8,355 profiles. Out of this, obviously, as we just said, quite a few would have been CEC profiles, but because IRCC doesn't give us a breakdown of federal skilled workers separate and CEC profiles being different, we don't really know how many profiles are there. For scores to drop below 461, IRCC has to do something really, really incredible, which basically means they issue 2 draws, 5,000, 5,000 back to back. Okay. Then you could probably see 460s, low 460s being touched. And if there was to happen another draw after that soon, then you could probably see, 460 being breached and scores dropping below 460. But the thing is that this pool is as of 18th of January. And from what we know, based on people who follow the data in the express entry pool, and for people who follow the different trends as far as express entry is concerned, the number of profiles that keep getting added into the express entry pool with scores more than 470 are quite high. There are almost now 250 to almost 250 profiles getting added every single day. Again, it's a mix of CEC and the federal skilled workers. And with such large number of profiles getting added every single day, the scores, 5,000 ITAs is phenomenal. I never thought IRCC is going to issue such large ITAs, but with this, it's phenomenal. So basically give you the answer in a short manner, unless IRCC does something incredible and out of the box and issues several back-to-back draws, or at least two, we won't see the draws dropping below 460 that easily.
Yeah. Okay. So next question comes from Priya. That's a super chat. So thank you, Priya, for that. So hi, sir. My work permit expires on February 13th. I got my AOR. So what should I do to apply for the PGWP extension or BOWP?
Good question. The new public policy under the extension for postgraduate work permit comes in effect on the 27th of January. It will be there for almost 6 months. People whose postgraduate work permits have expired or are expiring within the next 4 months, they will be able to apply for postgraduate work permit extension for 18 months, which is awesome. I mean, it's such an awesome, incredible news, because for people who do not understand why this is so great is you cannot get more than one postgraduate work permit in your life. All right. So you could come to study in Canada once, get your postgraduate work permit, and then study in Canada again with the hope of getting a postgraduate work permit. It doesn't happen. You get it only once. Not only that, a postgraduate work permit by law cannot be extended. So once it is expired, unless you were given a shorter duration because of your passport validity, a postgraduate work permit cannot be extended. So this particular policy change that happened is incredible. So to answer your question, Priya, what you should do is you should go for postgraduate work permit extension if you are eligible to do that. The reason for that is that even if your permanent residence application is rejected, God forbid, or if it is delayed, you will always have your postgraduate work permit to fall back on, because it's valid for 18 months. And if, God forbid, if your application gets rejected, you file for a new one. At that point of time, you will still be eligible to apply for a bridge open work permit if it applies. So you basically will have a dual backup plan if you go for postgraduate work permit extension now and bridge open later, if at all you need to.
Right. So a similar question from someone, not a similar actually, but like someone who's there in Canada, it seems. Is it safe to travel to India when I'm on my work permit these days? And
is it safe to travel?
To highlight it, sir. There are more than 300 people in this live stream now. So that's a really big number. And I'm really sorry, guys, we won't be able to answer everyone's question, but we're trying to cover, most of the topics that are generic from different streams and backgrounds. So yes, I don't think, so I would like to take that opportunity to answer this question. It seems that at this moment, certainly it's not good. I do have a IT job as well, and I have my leaves approved. My wife had my leaves approved for the month of March, but we have cancelled that vacation to India because it's very uncertain these days. What is going to happen, you never know. Justin Trudeau has been saying this in almost every press meets that he does, that if you're traveling, wherever you want to travel within Canada or outside of Canada, don't do that. If you have some plans to actually go out during the spring break, cancel those plans. They have also said that you might know that they have some plans of that plan is already in place, that you should have a negative RT-PCR test with you 72 hours before boarding the flight. So that's a really tough thing to achieve. Just in case if you're not able to achieve that, that becomes a problem. And they've also said that they might change any other. So I would like to say that, okay, if that gets happened, it would be very difficult for you. But that's for everyone. Like even if somebody has permanent residency or somebody has got work permit or a student visa, that's for everyone. So what's your take on someone who has got only the work permit, and does something change for that person?
No, nothing changes. I mean, you can travel if you want to. Recommendation is not to travel, or rather, the recommendation is to discourage any kind of non-essential travel at this point of time. But if you have to travel, yes, of course, you can travel. Just make sure you have your pay stub, your job offer in hand when you're traveling back. And if you're asked, you can always come back because you are considered as essential for traveling back. So that's not an issue at all. Okay, I'm not sure what happened with Sheetanshu. Sheetanshu, you're gone.
No, I'm back now. It's just
Okay,
some
you're
settings
back.
with my camera. Sorry about that. Yes, it seems like it goes to some sleep mode after 30 minutes. I need to change those settings actually. Okay, something to do with the GCMS notes. It seems Adarsh is kind of stuck with the application. So Adarsh wants to ask about the GCMS notes. Once the GCMS notes says it's approved, will there be any chance that IRCC can deny or reject the application in the future?
Yeah.
So, sir, this is the thought actually in many people's mind that once they've submitted the application, of course, it seems like a formality. If all documents are in place, everything is in place. People are concerned that okay, what will happen, especially if the GCMS notes says approved. They're like, okay, should we get complacent now or should we worry? There's no reason to worry, but yes, there are chances. Sir, what are your thoughts?
The chances will only, I mean, if everything is cleared in your GCMS notes, then the only thing remaining would be the inadmissibility checks, right? You could be inadmissible to Canada for several factors. And if any one of them applies to you, then yeah, in spite of the fact that your GCMS shows that everything is approved, at the time when they are going to release your passport request, at that point of time, and even after you have submitted your passport to the embassy, the time comes when they're stamping your, or when they are processing your counterfoil or stamping for your visa stamping. If they do any inadmissibility checks, especially for security and criminality, if there is anything pending there, or if anything which comes up or pops out there which is which is adverse against you, then yeah, your application should still be refused. And that also applies even when you get a visa stamped in your passport and come to Canada. Even once you arrive in Canada, you are not a permanent resident at that point of time. The border officer will ask you several questions. Those are statutory questions, and they will also again do a security check, which is a very high level superficial security check, which is done at all border controls around the world. And if there is anything adverse against you, then yes, you could still be refused. And yeah, that still happens.
Okay, one more super chat. So let me just highlight that.
Yeah, before you go on, Sheetanshu, I'll take one question here, which is quite this thing. There is one from Divya Chug, and it says, "What is eligibility valid?" I actually did a video on this just yesterday that was to do with web forms. And what happens is when people raise web forms asking for status, invariably you will receive a response back from IRCC, which will say things like, your criminality checks are valid, your security checks are valid, your eligibility is valid. Now people get very confused. What does the term valid mean? Does it mean I have passed eligibility? Does it mean I have not passed eligibility? What exactly does it mean? So again, I'm going to share the screen if you don't mind. So that always helps in trying to understand what we are trying to do here. Okay, so this is basically the glossary on the IRCC website. It talks about valid. What does valid mean in terms of IRCC's understanding? So this is the glossary from IRCC where they explain what the different words are when they're trying to use them. A valid basically means it is for a document, which is the legal document which they have received. It hasn't expired and it has been accepted by IRCC. Now, if you try to break this down, when they say your eligibility is valid, it basically means that the documents that you have provided in favor for your eligibility or in support for your eligibility for the program, they are valid in terms that they have been accepted. They've been seen, they've been accepted, but the assessment hasn't been done yet. So they haven't been assessed yet. They've just been checked that you have provided. For example, if you were supposed to provide a reference letter, they know that you have provided a reference letter. So the document has been accepted that you provided a reference letter. They haven't been assessed. They haven't been reviewed. Only once they're reviewed, then you will know that your eligibility is being reviewed, or your eligibility has been met, or your eligibility is recommended met or recommended passed. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, that did. Okay, next one, another super chat. I will try not to answer those super chats because you are a more specialized person. You are a registered consultant, so you should answer this. Hello, sir. TS Gill wants to ask, if someone claimed points for arranged employment or LMIA for CEC Express entry, after PR, does he has to work for the same employer or can he move on?
Okay.
Very interesting one, actually.
There are two factors to this. All right. because you have an arranged job offer with LMIA, it basically means that LMIAs could be with dual intent. Dual intent basically means they are meant for you to apply for a work permit and for permanent resident, or they're usually processed only for the purpose for you to apply for a permanent residence. So if they are applied only for the purpose of permanent residence, you will only claim points. You will come to Canada. Once you're a PR, you're free to do whatever. But if they are a dual intent LMIA, whereby you will apply for them to be for your work permit and then obviously come for PR, then because you're applying for a work permit using that LMIA, obviously if a work permit is issued to you, it will be a closed work permit, means you have to work for the same employer for as long as you're working in Canada until the permanent residence is issued to you. Once the permanent residence is issued to you, or you become a permanent resident of Canada, you are now constitutionally free to do whatever you want to do. You have the mobility rights. You can work anywhere in Canada. You can work for any employer in Canada. You are not bound by any such requirements to have to work for the person who issued the LMIA for you. Okay?
Right. Okay, a question from Khyati Pandya. When are the biometric services for PR applicants expected to resume? So I get Khyati would be there in India.
Yeah.
If you are, then I think we've got a update last week itself that they would be resuming. Like earlier, it was only for students and for I think students and for the families of people are not
family class sponsorships. Yeah,
that's right. Now they have said that they would be resuming the other categories as well. So they haven't specified about the PR applicants. So any news on that?
No, there is no news on that. There was an update which said that they will be extending it to other categories of applications as well. And from the other categories, there were only basically two categories left, rather three categories left. One was visitor visas, which I don't think will be allowed at this point of time. Then there was the work permit applications, which they have already allowed. I think there was an update last week from Canada and India Twitter account, which said that they will start accepting them. And then the only other category which is left is the PR applications. Now, VFS got a lot of flack for the poor management, how they managed the whole biometric appointments in November and December. They claimed that they had more than 60,000 appointments. Again, with the COVID protocol and social distancing and all, they could not really release as many appointments as they would have had to. So IRCC has taken control back for coordinating with these appointments. And I think they will be issuing a release next week for how you can raise a web form and request for your biometrics. Now, once that happens, soon after that, we can expect PR application biometrics also to be allowed to happen. But I personally feel end of the first quarter towards the second quarter early is when PR application biometrics would basically come back into force.
Okay, thank you so much for that answer. So I think we answered the question from Kanan as well. He also had a similar question. Okay, so we are already almost 30-40 minutes into this stream, but there are already still 300 people, more than 300 people who are live.
Thank you everybody. Thank you for your trust. Thank you for your faith. Thank you for joining in. The fact is, you've honored us by giving us your time. That is very important. I mean, it's not us putting in the time to do this live stream. It is you who are willing to come here and spend this time and listen to us gap. So I thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So generally I do this live streams for 30 to 40, 45 minutes. Do you want to extend it to 1 hour today? Because there are too many people actually.
I have time until 12 p.m. if you have until 12 p.m.
Okay, so let's stretch it to 1 hour. Okay. Okay, let's take another question. Okay. So Raj wants to ask, how many times can we renew the PR card, and is it compulsory to apply for citizenship, or we can renew PR card lifetime? So I think there's no compulsion that you want to become the citizenship. I actually made a video on this some time back when I completed my 3 years in Canada, so which made me eligible to apply for the citizenship. So, but that's totally my wish. If I want to apply, I haven't applied for the citizenship yet because I was thinking of a couple of other things. Maybe I'll talk about it some other time. But yes, there's no compulsion that you should apply for the citizenship. There's a validity on the card. I think we can, my validity expires in 2 years, so I haven't got the time to actually, renew that card. But yes, we can ask for a new card if I'm not wrong, sir.
Absolutely. There is no requirement, there is no compulsion for you to apply for citizenship. If you want to continue applying for your permanent resident card after every 5 years and you're eligible to do that, absolutely, go ahead.
And by the way, sir, I want to ask you, are you a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident yet? Only.
If I tell you, I have to kill you.
No, I'll have to ask that.
No, I'm a permanent resident for different reason, because I do have certain affiliations due to which I will need to maintain my citizenship in India.
Okay.
And I can't let that go. At least not anywhere in the near future.
Yeah, for similar reasons, I am kind of holding to Indian citizenship for this time being only. Maybe for like once I go to India, maybe after that I would like when I come back to Canada. So many people were asking about that because I did not answer that question. I did only ask those questions to my audience and ask their suggestions. Almost 90% of them said that you should go for that the Canadian citizenship.
And yeah.
Yes, exactly. But yes, I was just waiting for once I go to should go to India, and then after that we'll try to do that. Okay. Next questions. So actually, guys, thank you so much for now asking those generic questions. I don't see many specific questions in there. Okay, so someone asks that when can we expect the issuance of COPRs for FSWO? I'm not aware of what is FSWO, sir.
I think they must be referring to federal skilled worker category. I think we already answered this question a bit early on. So if you could just
sure
watch this stream again, you would be able to get the answer in detail.
Yeah. Okay, let me just pick another question. So someone asked about 3 years as a PR. So yes, we were talking about the citizenship. So to get the citizenship, you should physically spend 3 years, whatever that timeline is, like something close to 1,000 days or a little more than 1,000 days. So you should spend those 1,000 days physically in Canada. So for example, I was away for a couple of months in India. So that made me like when I'll be able to spend those 1,000 days in Canada, then only I can apply for the citizenship.
Yeah, that's more like 1,095, about 1,100 days.
1,095, yes, exactly. So yeah, okay. So many people asking about those, about the express entry draws and the timeline. So guys, we already talked about it. We just request you, you might have joined a little late. So I would save this conversation. You can go on to actually check this. You'll find a lot of answers that you're asking now. Okay, so something interesting for the student visa. So do you think if I have a study gap of more than 5 years, I should choose a course of 2 years or 1 year? How are chances of PGWP if I choose a 1 year course? I don't think that would vary, sir. What are your take?
See, the study gap of more than 5 years or anything for that matter, when you're choosing a program, it should all fit into your past work experience, your past studies. There are tons of students who come to Canada who have just finished their high school and they will do a 2-year diploma. I don't recommend doing that because that will usually not get you very far in terms of express entry because you don't get much points for 2-year diploma. But if you're trying to do a 1 year or a 2-year diploma after you have already done your graduation, bachelor's degree in India or wherever you're from, the fact of 1 year or 2 year program is not going to make much of a difference. The fact of what kind of program you are choosing will will basically matter. Now there are entry level programs. There could be advanced level programs. The advanced level programs will usually be a 2-year diploma. So again, it all has to tie in with your background. It all has to tie in with your past work experience and your past studies. But if you're going to do a 2-year diploma, you may as well do a master's degree. So it's always a better choice over a 2-year diploma.
Right. Okay. Next question is from Avrojyoti. My spouse's WES and passport is in post-marriage name. So I think his wife's surname would be Bardua now. Other docs is in maiden name. So she has affidavit for that. Should I change passport to maiden name?
you don't have to change the passport for the immigration purposes. I mean, you do not have to include your spouse's name in your passport for the Canadian immigration process. However, if you are from India, in order to obtain an Indian police clearance, there may be a requirement that they may insist for you to add your spouse's name and show yourself as married in your passport before they will issue your police clearance. So as far as the Canadian immigration process is concerned, adding your spouse name in your passport or changing your name from maiden name to married name is not a requirement. And if there is any change in name, we always recommend you get a one and the same person affidavit.
So yes, his question was that should he get an affidavit? So yes, I think the answer is yes. You should get an affidavit for that. Okay, next question comes from Love. I have an AINP COPR expiring in February 2021. I will have 472 points in April. Should I create another profile and take direct invite instead, or wait for extension?
I'm a bit lost. Why would you want to take another invite?
If you
already have a COPR, just wait for the extension. I mean, I understand that you have an Alberta nomination and you may not want to live in Alberta. If that is the reason that you do not want to live in Alberta, but you have a nomination from Alberta, yes, by all means, you can apply for a new PR application if you have enough points and go through with that. If not, if you do not mind staying in Alberta, if you do actually want to live in Alberta, then I see no reason why you should go with another one. You have one COPR, just wait for it to get the extension and then travel whenever you can.
So they're at 472. So okay, I want to ask this question because you're here. So many people have this question sometimes, especially when they're when they get an Ontario nomination, they have this question that okay, let's say that the last cutoff score, the last draw was 470, and they're at 468. And they've got the Ontario nomination because Ontario generally chooses, during this 5 to 10 points range of the cutoff score. So they ask this question: should they take the nomination or should they wait? So what is your take on that?
That is always a question. Now, you see what happened is last year when Ontario issued their draws for the general category of HCP, Human Capital Priority Stream, and they issued, they issued notifications from 469 upwards to 470 something. All of those invitations went to a total waste because after that, very soon the scores dropped to 469. Right, so whoever would have got their notification of interest from Ontario wouldn't really need to use this. Now, this is applicable to people who get a notification of interest from Ontario to apply for permanent residence or rather to apply for nomination through Ontario. If you are ever confused, keep in mind you have 45 days to submit your application to Ontario. Within those 45 days, you are looking at approximately 2 to 3 draws that might happen with IRCC. Always keep in mind, IRCC is very unpredictable when it comes to doing these draws. I mean, it's always it's already obvious, right? December, everybody was thinking the scores will very soon go down to 465, 464, 463 kind of a thing. People were making all kind of prediction videos saying that now the scores will drop down to 460s lower. And then IRCC changed the whole game. They did not conduct any federal skilled worker draws at all. Now it's only CEC draws. And now the scores, instead of dropping, we are definitely expecting to see a rise. So the next all-program draw could very easily be in the range of 470, 471 kind of a score. So if you do not want to get caught out on something of that sort, and $1,500 is not a problem for you, then obviously go with Ontario nomination, because I keep saying this, a bird in hand is better than two in the bush. So if you go with that principle, I would rather sleep peacefully in the night, not having to worry with the anxiety that will I get an invitation, not get an invitation, will the scores drop, not drop, and always keep wondering what would be the next draw trend look like. I don't want to get involved in that. I want to sleep peacefully with the knowledge that I've got the nomination. I will definitely get a draw tomorrow morning. When I wake up, it will be there. So I would go with that. But again, it all depends on individual circumstances. $1,500 is a lot of money. Not everybody wants to sort of put it in, just like that. And if you do not want to live in Ontario, then definitely you might want to consider waiting. But once you get the notification of interest, you have 45 days. So I would suggest keep everything ready, keep all the documentation ready, wait for the next 2 draws. If you think the scores are going to come anywhere close to where you are, then it's your call, make a choice. If not, then just think that's another $1,500 spent towards the whole process. You probably will come and make it up in Canada soon.
Yes. So Shavik asking about biometrics already done in January 2020. When are the chances of receiving PPR? So I think Shavik, we discussed about this, and I think I was just talking about a similar example when there are people waiting who got the biometrics done in January 2020. It's been 1 year they have been waiting. So and earlier someone was asking that they've got the AOR in January 2021. So I really feel sorry for those kind of people who have been waiting for so long. It's because I have been through this process just a couple of years back. I know the pain. I know I used, when it was just 2 or 3 months down the line, I used to refresh my email every morning, or maybe 3 times, 4 times a day, just to check that, oh, I might have got something. But yes, I think you'll have to wait. Just go towards the, I think probably 10 or 12 minutes into the stream, you'll find an answer to that question. Okay, so some more interesting questions.
Sheetanshu, just before we go, there was one question that I would like to answer there. Somebody said, Kubeir, what is your qualification? Well, I mean, thank you for asking that, but I am an ICCRC licensed immigration consultant. If you're asking about that qualification, then yes, I'm licensed to provide immigration consultancies and services. If you're asking what my qualification otherwise is, well, I am a proud father, wannabe golfer, and if that doesn't help, then yes, I am I'm a master's graduate from a university in India. If that doesn't help, then I'm not sure what other qualifications you're looking for.
And just recently, we actually wished you for your 50th birthday, so sir, that's really a great achievement.
What 50th? Who are you talking about?
No, you published it on Instagram, so you want to make it public, right?
Yeah, if that is another qualification you're asking, yeah, then I'm also
not a qualification, but yes, you're too young to be felt like you're 50. So kudos for your good health and looks.
Thank you.
Okay, then I want to ask about Anshul's question. Guys, I want to request you, please, no more super chats. Please don't pay for those questions anymore, because we might be ending this stream in a few minutes. So we won't be able to answer all the questions after this. So please, I request you don't go for any super chats anymore. I'll try to answer all those questions that are already in queue. So Anshul wants to ask that, I will be the secondary applicant. I got a result as postgraduate diploma from a non-recognized institution from WES. I only have equivalency for bachelor's. How should I show it in the express entry profile? I don't think there's any way of actually showing it. Like whatever has been approved by WES, or maybe you want to go it for some other institutional agencies like ICAS or IQAS. What's your take, sir?
Well, in order to show it in your express entry profile, you will have to choose no ECA for this. So you cannot claim points. You cannot claim points for a credential which has not been successfully evaluated. Evaluation of a non-recognized institution basically means no evaluation at all.
Right.
If you want to show it in your express entry profile, actually you should show it in your express entry profile. It will be shown as no ECA when it comes to the option of having equivalency. And as Sheetanshu said, that you should try and go to a different agency. You could check with IQAS, you could check with CES. They are also known to be quite generous with their evaluations.
Yes, okay. So many people actually going in for super chats. I'll have to take their questions, or they'll rip me apart. So Alex wants to ask, I'm 37 years old and applying for Masters in September 2021 intake. Completion and 1 year experience gives me 479 CRS with 8777, and I will be 40 by then. So please suggest if I'm doing right or if I'm missing something here.
Well, studying in Canada is always good. You are looking at only 8777. If that 8777, which is CLB 9, if you were to put in a bit more effort and make it CLB 10, you could add 12 more points to your score. So that is one option. Second option would be you study in a province, or you work after you've received your master's degree and you've received your postgraduate work permit, that you go to work in a province that gives benefits to people who are living, working there. For example, New Brunswick, for example, Nova Scotia, for example, Prince Edward Islands, rather all of the Atlantic provinces. And in addition to that, you could also go and work in Saskatchewan or in Manitoba. All these provinces favor people who are living, working over there. So if you have already got a master's degree in Canada, again, depending on which province you're getting the master's degree, there could be a provincial program from that province. For example, Ontario has a master's PhD program. British Columbia has a program which is specific to certain education streams, subject streams, but again, that they also have a program. Similarly, other provinces also have a program for people who have graduated from their provinces. So don't be narrow in your vision in terms of only express entry. Yes, by that time, if the express entry scores are still hovering in the same range, you will definitely go through. You have an option of having better scores than 8,777. You can do that as well. So I mean, I think this is a good idea, good plan. Go for it.
Okay, probably the last super chat. Can an inland CEC express entry applicant who's on a work permit with an outland spouse, that's who's in India, apply for a spousal work permit, or do they reject work permit applications?
No, they will not reject work permit application due to active CE application. Don't worry about it. You are absolutely eligible to apply for an open work permit for your spouse if you already have a work permit in Canada. So don't worry about it.
Okay, some people still, going for super chat. Guys, I requested you, please don't do that because I might not be able to, take super chat questions. I know people have so many queries. You can actually, if you want to, advertise your paid services, you can do that because I know that many people want to pay to get your time as well. So please go ahead.
No, I mean, as far as going ahead or not is not an issue. You can always also come back to our Facebook groups. I mean, Sheetanshu has a very good Facebook group. We have a Facebook group. There are more than nearly 150,000 members there in the Facebook group, and everybody is always willing to help, answer, and support your questions. So yeah, you always have other options and channels, and we keep doing these live sessions. So yeah, you can always come back and also join in for another live session.
Okay, so last super chat that we'll take here is from Viral. Guys, again, please don't pay for these questions anymore. We won't be able to take maybe 1 or 2 questions after this, not more than that. So if IRCC issues AL with order passport number, is it safe to travel to Canada with such AL, or better to get this clarified or corrected from IRCC before travel to Canada? So I personally don't have knowledge. What does AL sir?
AL basically is authorization to travel or authority letter.
Authorization letter. Okay.
These acronyms we have all coined ourselves. These are not
yes, exactly.
There shouldn't be any issue, to be very honest. Again, these checks are usually applied by the airline staff at the departure airport. This will hardly have any consequence once you arrive in Canada. Choose Air Canada if you want to, because they're more flexible in their approach, and you would not have an issue. Even with Air India, what Air India does is at the time of their departure, they have an open line with the Canadian embassy at that point of time. So if they're facing any trouble with any travelers in terms of their authority to travel, they usually immediately write back or contact to the Canadian embassy to check whether those people are eligible to travel or not. And Canadian embassy is quite quick in responding back to them and tell them if they are eligible to travel. So you shouldn't have an issue at all.
Okay, so we'll take 2 more questions, last 2 questions. So someone wants to ask, I'm planning to study in Canada. My wife is not working for the past 3 years. I'm planning to apply for an open work permit for her. Will she be able to do it? So many people actually have this question. I know a couple of, my friends who have asked me this question that, okay, one person goes in for the study visa and the other person wants to, go for the work permit. So how's that done and how's that possible?
Well, in this particular case, the person is asking, my wife has not been working for the past 3 years. I mean, your wife working, not working has no consequence in when you apply for your open work. When you apply for an open work permit for her, when you're applying for an open work permit for your wife, what will matter is your status in Canada and whether you're eligible to apply for an open work permit for your wife. And number 2 is your relationship. So if the relationship is genuine and you're able to prove that, then you should be fine.
Right. Okay. So on the same note, do you want to tell about a spouse applying for the open work permit while the other person is here on a study visa?
I usually recommend that both of them should not apply together. And the reason for that is, one, that you want to establish some ties to home country. So one spouse still being in the home country becomes a good reason, or rather a good tie back to home country. That's the first one. And number two is, God forbid, if you have to get a refusal or a rejection, why should both of you get it at the same time? May as well just one of you get it and the second person doesn't have a refusal on the record. So that is one of the reasons why we usually recommend that, both of you. Okay, Sheetanshu is gone again. Oh, yeah, now I know why he wanted that 1 hour thing. Yeah, he's using his camera.
Yes, I am using my camera.
That's the reason you have that 1 hour thingy. Okay, all right. Okay, I get it. Right. So, no, yeah. So it's not an issue. I mean, in the sense, like, if you're applying for a spousal, if you're applying for an open work permit for your spouse, then usually we recommend that apply for it after you have received your study permit, you have arrived in Canada, and then you can apply for an open work permit for your spouse.
Okay, so I think we are already 1 hour into this live stream. So I don't want to stretch it any further. It's 1 hour is way too long. It is for me. For me, it is. I don't usually do live streams, and I'm at max. Like, this is my maximum that I've been in front of the camera right away. Okay. So thank you so much for all your time. That was really helpful. I'm pretty sure that I tried to pick more of generic questions so that other people who are waiting in the live stream could also connect with those questions, and many people could benefit from your answers. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sheetanshu, for putting this live stream together, and thank you everybody on the Dream Abroad channel, on Ask Kubeir channel. Thank you for joining in. Really appreciate it, and I hope you got some value out of today's session.
Yeah, it was actually the first time that we were doing this live stream in the Dream Abroad Canada Facebook group as well. So I think that was one of the reasons that why so many people tuned in, and still more than 270 people out there. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you from the bottom of my heart that you have been giving so much time to us. 1 hour is actually a really, really long time. So thank you so much for your time. I really hope that you would have benefited from these question and answers. If you have, I'll try to save this save this live feed as a video and on my YouTube channel, and you can also go on to check it. Please put in your feedback there. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe the channel. If you're not there on this on Ask Kubeir Facebook group, I think there are more than 110,000 people in there, sir.
150,000. Our total Facebook member strength is more than 400,000 as of today.
Wow. So many people interested in coming to Canada, actually.
And then people say, why are the scores going high?
Yes, so that tells you the reason why. Okay, so thank you so much, guys. Thanks, Kubeir, for your time today.
Thank you.
You guys, if you like this stream, please let us know. We can do this streams maybe once a month or once in 2 months with Kubeir, sir. I'm pretty sure that he's always been very helpful, and he would be interested to do this.
Yeah, I'm game, Sheetanshu, anytime.
Okay, thank you so much, guys. Thanks again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.